A real one. A Nampeshiweisit. Nobody was writing it. Sagosque looked up at me and crossed his arms. Nampeshiweisit aren't a thing anymore. I shook my head and looked back across the water, where the dragon had gone. Slipstone Island was the easternmost island. There was nothing past it but bits of wet rock fit for seals, and then miles and miles of ocean. Where could it possibly be going? "You're not kidding, are you?" Sagosque asked after a long silence. "No," I said, shaking my head. "I saw it." "Did you see it, or did you see it? Like a vision or something?" He seemed very excited at the idea that it might have been a vision. Having a big sister who had visions would be something worth talking about. "I think it was real," I said, no longer certain. "I've never had visions before." "We've got to tell Grandma. It's probably important either way, right?" "Yes, it probably is," I said, dragging my eyes away from the waves. "Did you fill your basket?" "A while ago. I found half a dozen spotted crabs, too." "If you found spotted crabs, you've been wading out too far. You don't have to have any crab if you don't want any," he said with a shrug. "And it's not even cold." "It's not June yet," I said, folding my arms. "If you got caught in a riptide and dragged out to the seal rocks, what would I tell Mother?" Sagosque just shrugged again, looking down at his feet, making a little hill of sand with his toe. I hauled my basket up onto my hip and threw the strap over my shoulder as we started back to where we'd left the canoe. After we had walked a few minutes, Sagosque's hand slipped into mine. I wondered if he was thinking about dragons, too. Grandma said that there'd been thousands of them, back before the Great Dying. Back then, there'd been a city on Masquapag as great as Vastragot or New Linvik. Back then, the temple on the mound on Slipstone Island hadn't been a ruin. But then the plague came, and there weren't enough people and dragons to dance away the storms of autumn. And year by year, the city had been washed away into the ocean. The English had come, and the Vascosish after them, and they'd made war on anyone who was in the way of them building their own cities. Now Masquapag was part of New Anglesland. Englishmen came to collect taxes and do folk scoring, and anyone who didn't do what they said got shot or thrown in jail. It hadn't happened yet to Masquapag, but Naquapag stood as a stark reminder of how useless resistance was. I smelled corn cakes frying before we came up over the hill to the house, and I could hear Sakewa and some other girls singing a clapping song. Sagosque ran ahead to meet them, and Mother was in the doorway with him by the time I caught up. "I was getting worried about you, too," she said. "Is there something especially interesting on Slipstone Island today?" "Anaku saw a dragon. A proper one. Not an English one, a Nampeshiweisit," Sagosque blurted before I had a chance to say it myself. Sakewa and her friends stopped singing and clapping and stared at him. Mother looked at Sagosque, then looked at me, her face grave. "Did you really, Anakus? You're not playing some kind of game?" "I'm not. I promise," I said, swallowing hard. "It was a Nampeshiweisit, a red and gold one, with great gnarled antlers and black marks on its face, like the painting on that shield that the sachem has. And its eyes were so sad, Mother, I can't—" "Anakus?" I heard Grandma say from inside. "Come and sit by the fire and tell us this story, the way that a story should be told." Grandma was sitting by the fire, stitching oyster-shell beads onto the yoke of a dress, running her fingers along the line she'd already embroidered, and using the tip of her thumb to measure out the space for the next one. Mother ushered Sagosque and Sakewa inside after me. Sakewa's friends must have gone home, which wasn't much more than shouting distance away. They'd probably be telling their families what Sagosque had said.